From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team. Dominating with Dawson.
Ben Dawson. I need somebody to help me play the game to sweeping the nation, the world, by Ross Bentley.
Good news, guys. Yeah, I'm here. I'm ready.
You ready?
Cool.
We're going to play the if-then game. Ben, who are our contestants for this episode of the if-then game by Ross Bentley?
Great news, Bill. We've got Jen and Vicki playing today.
Oh, my goodness. Look at that.
That's great. It's going to be fantastic.
Welcome.
Have a great time, guys. Have a great time.
Welcome to the show. Where are you from?
I'm getting a real whiff of Delaware off of some of these guys.
I'm smelling some Delaware.
A little bit northern Pennsylvania.
A little bit.
Okay.
We had Biden over here handing out Capriottis on Route 40 today.
All
right. For those of you who aren't familiar with the if-then game or the Capriottis sub sandwiches.
I'll take one of those from anybody.
They're really good.
The if-then game. Jennifer, your buzzer sound is beep beep, and Vicki, your sound is vroom vroom.
All right.
So one of the things that Ross Bentley just put out was he put out an article and he said we could actually do this. I don't think he realized what we were going to do to this, but he put out this really good article about being prepared and what you should think about in order to be, if in this situation, what would you do? So we're going to play the if-then game.
Oh,
don't
sound
sound
conditionals.
It's going to be horrible. Okay.
Don't sound so excited, Vicki.
Let's learn.
Vicki, can you test your buzzer, please?
Beep, beep. Oh, I'm sorry. Vroom, vroom.
Wow.
Automatically F plus right out the gate.
All right. Apparently Vicki wants Jen to go first. But anyway, our first of our if situations. Ben, do you want to be the game show host? I'll be your Ed Bing.
I want to hear you go first.
All right, very well.
First one. Yeah.
Ladies, welcome to the if-then game. And here it is. If, as you ease off the brakes, you feel that you're carrying too much speed into the corner, then you should...
Thinking.
Downshift.
If... I didn't hear a buzzer.
Yeah, I didn't hear anybody buzzing. Nobody buzzed in there.
Vroom, vroom.
Oh, there we go. Miss Vicki, if as you ease off the brakes, you feel that you're carrying too much speed into the corner, then you
I would come off the gas.
Okay.
Because then it would be a static kind of slowing down.
Let's pretend.
Because if I step on the brakes, then I risk spinning the back end of the car.
Vicki, you have a serious disadvantage in that I am speaking, so therefore you don't hear me. But if as you ease off the brakes,
come all the way off the brakes. Come off all the brake.
You're carrying
all the way off.
You're carrying too much speed.
I think I heard.
You want to put more brake?
Yeah, I heard the right answer. I did not hear anybody buzz in from that side of the table. But
beep beep.
What were you saying?
Beep beep, Jennifer for the steal.
What were you saying?
Beep beep beep.
Yes,
beep,
but
beep,
the answer you said. The answer you were saying. Let's
you applied more brakes.
Miss Jen. What
more
brake? Miss Jen? What
more
was
brake.
that?
More brake.
More brake. Let's see. Let's reveal the answer. The answer is hold the pressure of the brake pedal for a fraction of a second longer.
I believe you're already braking. You should be already braking at the maximum traction at that point. So It's not necessarily a situation of jumping out with more force, but just staying with the force that you had. So you should be, if you're threshold braking, you should already be pretty much maxed out on the pressure you can get away with, right?
I believe Miss Vicki gets 0 points and Miss Jen gets 1 point. So
wow, racing for the tub.
That's right. Going to the tub.
It's just a race to the tub.
Yeah.
I got one.
I'll be sleeping in the tub before we get the corner entry.
That's right.
If I had $1
right,
for every time I said that. Ben, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. If, ladies, as you ease off the brakes, you feel as though you slowed too much for the corner, then
If, as you ease off the brakes, you feel as if you slowed too much.
like, I parked this thing way too far away from me.
Vroom, 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 vroom.
I heard beep beep before
Yeah.
I heard vroom vroom, Ben, but you're the tiebreaker though.
Let's go with beep beep.
Beep beep. Miss Jen?
So you want to, if you're easing off the brakes, so you just hold off for a little bit.
No, you feel if you're already worried you slowed down too much. That's the thing. You're rolling in the corner, you start to get off the brakes,
Right.
like, oh, I slowed down too much. Do you want to stay with the brakes more or do something different than staying with the brakes?
You want to come off. You want to come off of it.
I would. Yeah.
You want to
Okay.
come off the quicker.
Miss
So
Vicki,
maybe go on the gas.
Miss Vicki, what do you think?
I would say come off the brakes completely and then
Yeah.
gently apply the gas.
If you have to. Okay. All right. And
Yeah,
the answer is
that's a good point. There are times where you'll have to get off, like, oh crap, I'm parked way too far away from this corner. Drive up to it. You may have to jump back on the gas. And drive
Yeah,
over
but
the
you
gas
don't.
tank to
You
get
certainly do. I mean, if you're
That's not
approaching
the
a
goal.
turn,
Yeah,
you
don't want
don't.
to, but
What you don't want to do is you don't want to slam on the brakes and then go into the turn because you risk spinning your car, and you don't want to just stamp on the gas because you're going to unbalance the car. So you're just going to have to gently apply and then wait to hit the apex and then punch it.
I think you're
But
thinking
just release your brake a little quicker.
that's the point. Yeah. So I would say half point each way on this.
I think Miss Vicki, you're taking things to too far a level. Pretend you're
Okay.
closer. Pretend you're
Okay.
closer. You're not like you're not stopping. You're starting your brake at the 8 board. You're stopping the
Okay.
brake at about the right spot, but you're a little bit there. All right.
Mhm.
Next, if you're in the brake zone and the rear of the car feels a little unstable and wiggles, then
Vroom, vroom.
oh, Miss Vicki.
Apply the gas so you can balance the car.
Miss Vicki. Okay.
If the back end feels light, the car's out of balance, right?
The back end feels unstable and wiggles. I don't think you're familiar with the answer that he's proposing, but that's okay.
Okay.
All right. Jen, are you going to try this one or are you going to pass?
I'm reading the question again. Sorry.
Okay.
Ease off the brakes when entering a corner. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, this is dealing with like we had a brake balance adjustment on the Mustang. So what the answer is try to get a little more bias to the front of the car. So
A little more what?
a little more brake.
Oh.
But
on
if
the
your
front.
back end's already spinning, why would you want to apply more pressure to the front of your car? Because then you're going
That's
to
a great-
you're really going to loosen the back end. At that
And
point.
that's why we play the game. Ben Dawson.
That's a
Ben
great
Dawson.
that's a great question. So the reason that the rear end is trying to come around and braking for the most part, if that happens, if you jump on the brakes to go into a corner and the rear end starts to come around, it's because you've got too much of the percentage of braking that your traction that you have allocated to the rear end of the car. So if you're able to adjust it, you want to put more to the front to let the front of the car do more of the braking. The reason you're coming around is because the rear end is trying to do more braking or too much of the braking compared to the front. So that's why
Okay.
it wants to come around. So the way to correct it is to reapportion more to the front.
And that is why we play the game that's sweeping the world.
All right, I think I got one.
All
So
right. Very
does
well.
this matter if it's a front wheel drive or rear wheel drive?
Not that
Yes, it should.
I think you should phone a friend, Vic.
Yeah.
You should phone a friend.
No, the balance doesn't matter.
Beep beep. I'm phoning a friend.
Beep,
Vicki starts doing Jen's beep beep just so she doesn't have to answer now. I see how this game's going. All right, Ben. The girls are getting smart here. We're gonna have to up our questions. You got one?
Yeah, I'm gonna bump down a little bit. How about if, as you turn into a corner, you feel as though you haven't slowed enough and your car's gonna spin, then do this. So if you're going into a corner and you feel like, oh, this thing's gonna spin, what are you gonna do?
Is it starting to spin, or
Oh, she's asking for clarification. Love that.
So as you're turning into a corner, you feel as though you haven't slowed down enough. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going too fast into this, and I think the car's going to spin out. What are you going to do?
Up.
Does anybody want to buzz in on that? So you're just like, oh crap, I'm kind of out of control. This is too fast for this corner. I'm probably going to spin this thing out. What do you want to do?
What are your options? You're going into a corner. You feel like you haven't slowed down quite enough.
You know you're headed for disaster. Like,
and your car is going to spin.
My car is actively spinning and I can't rescue
you
it.
Feel like you haven't slowed down enough and that your car is going to spin. Either Jen's frozen or she's giving me the biggest Fonzie thumbs up I've ever seen.
See, that's a scenario situation for me. So if I am going to spin and I can't save it,
yes,
then
you're on the gas. You're on the gas, right?
Right. I am lifting up.
Oh, you're on the brake. Sorry,
I'm on the brake. And I know that I am going to spin and I can't stop it.
You feel like your car is going to slide.
Yeah.
Okay, what would you do?
First of all, I would try to save it. And if I can't save it, I would look to where I want to place the car.
Okay.
Look where you want to be. That's good.
Look where I want to be and then try to maneuver the car more so in a straight line and then come off the gas, come off the brake.
Ease off the brake.
Ease off the brake.
And what's going to happen?
It's gonna go where I want it to go, and then I'm going to start gently braking after I'm off the track. But I don't want to. I don't want to make any sharp turns. I don't want it to start spinning out in the grass. So I'd want to try to do a straight line and try to get it to a safe spot, and then end up going to a tower.
Or do like a wider turn.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Good answers.
Oh, I like those answers. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're kind of headed for disaster and you're like, there's no way this is going to go good. You kind of just ease off all the things you're doing there, putting a force on the car. So, you want to kind of ease off the brakes a little bit, let the car kind of run wide, sort of open the steering up because you've got it bound up with the steering, all that sort of thing. So, you kind of have to surrender and say, all right, this is going to be an ugly corner. And also, in my experience, so many times where that's happened, where I'm like, oh, I botched it. I'm really in big trouble when I prepare for disaster. A lot of times if I just ease up off the brakes a little bit, open the wheel up, and just realize this is not going to be a pretty corner. And sometimes you end up riding around the outside of the paved part where you don't want to be if you're trying to be on the apex. But it's not necessarily a recipe for I'm going to go off every time. And one of the ways you can fix this, if you realize like there's no amount of fast hands, tomfoolery that's going to get me down to this apex without disaster. I've just botched it. I've misjudged something. A lot of times it's not necessarily the answer is going to head straight off the track. You just may have a gross looking corner and 3 people might pass you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you're not necessarily headed for off the track. But if you are, it doesn't matter either. You're just ultimately trying to look where you want to end up. So look where you want to be and just sort of open your hands up and sort of just give up on the idea of making that corner. That's one of the main things I have to do is like, I just have to, okay, all right, I'm out. I got to bail on this. And if you time it right and sort of realize and have a good sense of like, this isn't going to go well and here's what I need to do, just be ready with a contingency of like, yeah, I've got to give up. I've got to kind of come off the brakes. I'm braking. This isn't working. I got to kind of break the trajectory of this car. It's bound up and just accept the results. Maybe you put 2 wheels off. Maybe you put 4 wheels off. Maybe you just go out in the marbles and get your tires dirty and kind of let 5 people pass you while you get your crap back together. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But the main thing is what you were doing. was about to really mess you up. So stop doing what you're doing. Do something different. Roll out of the brakes a little bit. Open that wheel up. And just kind of see where that takes you.
All right, ladies. Next one. Okay. If you're in the braking zone, remember this is all the braking zone. You're in the braking zone and your steering feels numb, and it seems as though you can't control the direction your car is going with the steering wheel, then
Say a prayer.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear a buzz. So that answer is not accepted.
I don't. If I lose actual turning, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
Do you know why that might be something that could happen to you?
No.
Either beep beep or vroom vroom. Any ideas?
Beep beep, vroom vroom. Anyone?
Well, vroom vroom means probably something to do with the steering box is broken.
Well, I mean, let's assume it's not a Lemon's car.
What about if your tires are not turning?
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So you mean it's like the front end sliding.
Yeah, you're just sliding on pretty much one spot on a front tire or both front tires. You've locked your tires up. So yeah, you're driving down, you hit the brakes, you're like,
I'm already trying. Then I would apply the gas.
Yeah, well, you're already on the brakes.
And it's not working.
I didn't look at the answer for this one yet, but I have an answer for what I do.
If that's the case, then I would do a micro adjustment to the steering wheel, and then I would apply the gas a little bit,
or ease up on the brakes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
if you're locking your brakes up because you're braking harder than the tires can give you,
right,
you're asking for more grip than they have.
So let's go back in time. Let's pretend we're at Thompson. We're at a race. And we're on our way to flat spotting 7 tires through the weekend.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah.
The good news is we flat spotted 4 brand new ones. So that was awesome. So let's pretend you're flat spotting tires and you're going into a turn and all of a sudden your tires lock up. What do you do? What do you do? As quickly as possible.
First of all, you take off, you release the brake.
There you go.
Absolutely release the brake. And then you got a chance at it turning. Yeah.
Because if you just stand on the brake, what happens?
If you just stand on the brake, then you're just going to keep flat spotting. You're going to stop.
And you're going to keep going the same way you're going. You're not going to turn. Yeah. So this is especially important in the trophy truck because the trophy truck does not have ABS.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know what happens when you make a pretty significant flat spot in that tire and then keep trying to run it?
It's going to tear up your suspension.
No, not necessarily. It's just really going to
be really uncomfortable.
It's going to sound like the big bad wolf is at your door.
What really will happen? I'm not talking about like when you completely square one off. When you do a big enough lockup, maybe even for a couple seconds, just eventually as the weekend goes on, the tire is going to keep finding that spot more and more. It's just going to get worse and worse. So I'm not saying that that's the end of the world. Just something to be aware of about flat spotting a tire when you lock your brakes up is that eventually it's going to happen more and more to that one spot and get worse and worse. So something I do as a cheapskate is if we're running a race and somebody locked up the front tire that's the most loaded one. If you're running a right turn track, it's your left front is the one that's getting the most abuse. So somebody's going to lock that up most likely. But if you only brought 4 tires to the race, which I've done that, we do it plenty of times. But if everything looks okay, but you got one tire that's been kind of flat spotted, a lot of times I'll put that to the opposite corner, which is the one on the rear that's the least loaded. So a lot of times, if you're at a right turn track, you're talking about sticking that one you all kind of bitched up the day before, stick that one back on the right rear, and find your best tire, put it at your left front. So that's the one that takes the most abuse. But that's kind of one way to get around when you flat spotted a tire without worrying about your tire budget too much. If it's not horrible, if it's not egregious and making noise, you might be able to get away with putting it back there on one of the unloaded tires for the Sunday race and not worry about it too much. Do you guys want to hear about? So the answer here is that you locked up your tires and colon here or an ellipsis. It doesn't say much about it. Do you want to get into a little bit about what to do once you realize you locked up your tires on the track?
I do. That's why we're playing If Then.
Yeah, If Then with Ben.
Then with Ben.
So my experience with how to defeat tire lockup came when I would just run our comp tires, which are like the tires club racers run, like way lower tread wear than the stuff we're able to run on endurance cars, but they were expensive. So like, I was doing time trials and instructing and, running nice tires and really grippy brake pads. If I locked up a tire, I didn't want to buy another one. So the first few times I did a big lockup, because I'm chasing somebody in, group 3 traffic, DE3 traffic, or time trial. It's not really chasing the crap out of somebody. I end up locking up a tire. And I kind of realized, like, yeah, the steering feels a little numb. What's happening? I feel like I'm sliding a little bit. And you glance at your mirrors and you see smoke pouring off the tires. Like, I have locked these up. I'm also cheap. I'm not as worried about the safety. I'm worried about buying another set of tires. So I would just start patting the pedal like I'm ABS. I'm like, pop, 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 pop. I'm just trying to keep those tires that locked up. I'm trying to get them moving again. Like, I don't want a spot. So I'm just slapping the brake pedal. Because at this point, just like we talked about previously, you realize, hey, I'm not making this and I'm locking the tires up. We talked about, a previous one where you're too fast with the corner. It's going to be ugly. Like, give up on that corner. If you're locking the tires up, let whoever was about to pass you, let them pass you, get your tires. But that's my thing is I'll start mimicking ABS with my foot just to kind of keep that tire chattering around at least a little bit instead of sitting on one spot. And so that's kind of my cheapskate / keeping on the track workaround. Is like, once I realize it's failing and I'm locking it up, I'll just start slapping at that pedal a little bit until I get it back under control. And you're likely to be way offline at that point. By the time you do kind of regain what you want to be, it's, you've lost that lap. Like, you don't try to make up the rest of that lap. Don't worry about making that corner the right way. But yeah, once you started locking it up, that's what I do. Is I start just jumping up and down on that pedal to mimic the action that your ABS does. So your ABS just pulses the pedal to make the tire stop locking up. So I'll just, as soon as the second I realize I'm locking up, I'll just start slapping away and hopefully can kind of get it gathered up and not lose the tire. So I'm always worried about money and not dying. Sometimes in that order, sometimes not. Yes, it depends on how severe it is. Sometimes in that order, sometimes not.
All right. We've got 3 more for this episode of If Then.
Let's see.
All right. If you approach a corner and you feel like you haven't slowed down enough, the next time around, what would you do? So if you're coming into a corner and you feel like you haven't slowed down enough, then...
And say that again. I had a little distraction.
Beep, beep.
Oh, I can't.
All right.
Okay,
somebody
go
buzzed
ahead.
in. If, as you approach
you
a
got?
corner, you feel like you haven't slowed down enough, what can you do the next time around? Miss Jen?
Break sooner.
Ooh, break
Or
sooner.
break
That's
harder.
a good idea.
Or break harder.
Yeah.
Let's
Do
see.
something
Good
different with the brakes.
answers. I think she got it.
Let's see what the answers are. Jen. Perfect.
Yay.
Excellent job.
Go,
That's right.
Jen.
That's right. Vicki was interrupted. She didn't get her chance. So maybe she'll have one on this one. Ben, do you have one more?
Oh, let's see what we got here. All right. If you fight the car to get it down to the apex, then what does that mean to you? Here, if you don't need to buzz in, jump in anecdotally or interrupt. But like when somebody says fight the car down to the apex, what do you picture?
When somebody says what?
If you're,
I had
if
to
you're
fight the car all the way down to the apex. Does that make
I
any
have
sense
not
that
heard
time?
that before.
okay, so you're
Am I
going
fighting
around
my car or am I fighting another car?
your
Just your
car.
own car. We're talking about just your own vehicle. I had to fight it to get down to the apex. What does that mean?
So let's walk through the whole thing. Let's pretend we're at the keyhole at Mid Ohio, which is a
Okay.
big U-turn, right? You remember that
Mhm.
one, Miss Jen?
Yep.
Okay. And you're turning in, and you know where that apex is because there's that cone there most of the time.
Mhm.
And your car is fighting. You just won't go down there. What do you think happened, and what would you do the next time?
I'm thinking that I didn't set myself up properly if I'm fighting my car.
In what way did you not set yourself up?
That I didn't set up my laying out on the track
So you're lying.
properly. Exactly, like three turns back. I didn't set up my race line, so I'm fighting the car to get there, and I'm probably going too fast, forcing it.
Okay. All right. What do you think, Miss Jen?
I agree.
Jen agrees. All right. Ben, what are you thinking?
if I'm thinking if I had to fight a car down to get it down to the apex, it probably means that in my case, usually that's a symptom or something that comes along with a car that's understeering to me. So just most recently, I drove the race bar Laser Shark a couple of weeks ago at CMP, and I was trying to fight it. I would fight understeer and trying to get it down to the apex. I'd be slapping the throttle, just trying to just break whatever momentum I could. I wasn't getting it. Well, luckily, this guy Elazar helped me figure out a better way to address the understeer than that. But when I was riding around in practice, I was like, I got to do something to disrupt this. I'd be fighting it down to the apex. So I just kind of being kind of random and violent with the throttle just to try to break the understeer, just to sort of get it to pull down in there. So, it's not the safest way to get down there. And at least in my case, I was probably putting myself at more risk of, upsetting the car right then. But once I got it down to the apex, everything was so bound up and twisted. It was, could have been bad if anything went wrong. I guess.
I don't understand anything you just said.
Yeah, sorry. So this car understeered really badly.
Is that the way? Well, hold on. I just need a little clarification. Was that the way the car was set up?
I just showed up to drive it, so it might have been the
it's what you had.
Features and cabinets in the back. It might have been the fact that they never did anything to make the car any lighter. But the result was when I went in to try to make the car turn as fast as I wanted it to turn, and I thought it should have turned. In a lot of cases, it started to push the front wheels instead of turning them into the corner. So I was just trying to do things like, just anything to disrupt the flow or the bind that it was in, trying to just like going bop, 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 bop with the throttle, just trying to break something loose so it would go in. Turns out what that car needed was it just needed you to sort of ease off, just roll back out of the throttle and then it would pull down. But I didn't know that the first time I went out to try to drive it, so it's pretty rough.
Okay.
So that's what I mean by fighting it down to the apex. Is I had to just fight the crap out of the car and kind of yank it by the scruff of its neck to make it do what I wanted it to do.
Okay.
So typically what you'll have seen, Miss Vicki, and I think you were going that way, was you probably went in either with a bad line or too fast.
Right.
And the car is just pushing out wide, and you're not going where you think you should be going. It's sliding. The front wheels are sliding.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So did I answer it correctly?
Pretty close.
Okay.
All right. Last one for the evening of the if-then game that's sweeping the world.
All right.
If, as you ease off the brakes when entering a corner, this is the final one. This is a hard one now. If, as you ease off the brakes while entering a corner, your car immediately begins to rotate or oversteer, which is the back end coming around, then
turn into it. Oh, beep beep.
Oh, beep beep. Beep beep says.
Yeah, turn into it.
I would say not turn into it.
I can't hear you. What did you say?
Vroom vroom.
Okay. Yes.
I would say not turn into the turn because it's actually rotating around. So you'd want to straighten out the wheel a little bit and you'd want to step on the gas, but wait for the pause and then go and finish it.
All right. Mr. Dawson.
What are we doing? What happened? You know what I would do? I'll tell you what I'd do. That is exactly the moment where you punch that MF nitrous button right there.
And then clench your butt cheeks, suck it in,
then
hit it.
You've been hiding that nitrous fogger from every tech inspector. That's when you deploy it right there. When you feel everything's all squirrely under the brakes, then you nail it. And you hit hyperspeed? Yes, hyperspeed. Go to town.
So Ben Dawson.
Beep beep. Hyperspeed. You hit the hyperspeed button.
Hyperspeed button. Okay. Ben Dawson, have you been hiding your nitrous in your cage tubing?
So many places to hide it.
All right. Well, what you can do if your back end's coming around, what are your options, ladies?
It
gets worse. It gets worse as time goes by, but let's just assume it's coming around a little bit, not a lot. Like you're entering a corner and the back end starts to come around a little bit.
You ease off the gas.
You're entering a corner. So why are you on the gas?
Okay, I'm already off the gas. So, well, would you apply the brakes?
Well, you're already on the brakes, right? So you can give more brake or less brake. Those are your options. The back end's coming around. More brake or less brake.
Less
I feel like
brake.
if you really commit with more brake, and the back end's already coming around, you're just going to complete the circle that much faster.
Think about your weight.
Yeah. Less brake.
Less brake. Think about your weight, right?
Uh-huh.
You need.
It means all my weight's on the front if my back end's coming around.
Right. So you need more grip on the back.
Which
So
means I would probably lift off and then I would step on the gas.
Well, if
Well,
and you're going into a turn, you're not supposed to be on the gas going into a turn.
I mean, you could, yeah, okay.
You want grip on the back, so you want.
All right. Well, then I would lift off. I would lift off the brake. I
Brakes.
would, yeah.
You can relieve some pressure. You can relieve some pressure off that brake pedal and see how things went. So what you want
Very
to do.
well.
The idea is if it's coming around and you deeply commit to more brakes, you're just going to go ahead and complete that loop and see what you hit.
That's right. You're going to get to see all of the track, just like you did in Portland.
You'll get to wave at everybody probably a couple, 3 times. Hey, how we doing?
That's right. You break out your parade beauty queen wave, right?
I only know because I've done it in front of everybody in the pits at AMP in the rain before. And it's like, man, you hit the crap out of that wall. Like, yeah, damn.
Well, ladies and Mr. Dawson, I'd like to thank you for playing the first Garage Heroes in Training version of the If Then game by Ross Bentley.
Thank you, Ross, too.
We've got 4 more versions of this game already, so we'll play them next time.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.